All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's Sean from greenrelief.com. If you haven't actually signed up for an appointment with one of our doctors, then you're missing out. And I say that because when you sign up and you go through your first appointment, we're actually going to give you a t-shirt for free. All right, so when you become a patient, you get a free t-shirt, and if you want a second one, it's just $10 to give to your friend. Okay, so do yourself a favor, get a shirt. I've got 3 of them, and I love them. They fit great, and start getting on your way to become medicated in a way that's healthy and natural. And that was one of the things that I wanted to go over today was that, I talked about PTSD yesterday and how traumatic that can be. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into pain management, some anxiety, and depression. I found an interesting study today just for this video because I thought it was really important to show how times are changing. Because one of the things that I've noticed in talking with folks that have been through any kind of serious surgeries, like for instance, I know I have a former client of mine when I was personal training. He was actually a runner, and he did a lot of marathons. And so he was actually, he had 2 knee surgeries, total knee replacements, and now his back is actually giving him some trouble. So it's one of those things where the doctors were really quick to go ahead and say, all right, we're going to go ahead and give you this medication for pain management. And it was usually, it was some pretty heavy duty stuff. It was either Valium or Percocet. And he was definitely, he was using some Xanax to kind of just relax and just keep himself sedated. So I thought it was fitting that this study was actually in 2017. It was in May 2017, and it was in Washington State, and they took about 3,000 people, or excuse me, 2,800 people, so under 3,000 people. And they actually found these people through social media and through cannabis dispensaries. So they were just kind of saying, hey, if you've used cannabis within the last 90 days, you're qualified for this study. And they just wanted to see what they were using it for and who was using it. And so it was really interesting. They found most people are using it for 3 things, okay? So you have your pain management, you have depression, and then what was the other one that I said? Oh my gosh, what was it? Anxiety. Okay, so these people were actually leaving their prescription medication for cannabis, and they were seeing better results from it. So they actually had, the people that were actually responding, because they did everything anonymously, they wanted to keep their privacy. But what was most interesting, the most common classes of drugs substituted with cannabis were narcotics, which was 35.8% of the people who responded. That's a huge portion of people. So almost a third were using narcotics and got off of it. The other were anti-anxiety medication and benzos, which is like a sedative. That was 13.6% of them were using that, and then 12.7% were using antidepressants. And that to me that really stands out, because if you're being pushed all of these medications and you've been using those, you're going to have some kind of side effect. Typically, if you're using an opioid or a narcotic, something as powerful as that, the chance of you getting addicted to something like that, even after a surgery, or if you're going through any kind of rough patch in your life, whether that's with depression, some kind of crippling anxiety, that is tough to get off of, because you depend on those so much, and your brain is chemically getting addicted to that prescription medication. And it's just interesting the way they did this. They were going through, and they were looking at the age ranges that were using it, and they found that the older people got, the more that they were using it in order to get, the older people were, the more likely they were to use cannabis and medical marijuana. And so that to me, and you can see this study. I'll actually I'll post a link in the comments, but to me, that says, hey, listen, these older folks, whether they're, in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, doesn't matter. They've been through all kinds of prescription drugs. They know what the side effects are. They know what to expect. And now they're trying to find something else, which is a green relief, right? So they're trying to find some alternative method to any kind of pain management, any kind of anxiety, or any kind of depression. All right? Usually older people are a little bit wiser, and if the older folks are using medical marijuana instead of their prescription drugs, age definitely has more experience, and it proves that in this study. They're dropping their prescriptions, and they're actually going towards the medical marijuana. There were a couple other things that I wanted to point out here. Hold on one second. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling through it. Again, I'm going to actually put this study up so you guys can read it. It actually is pretty in-depth, and that's why I just kind of wanted to gloss over it real quick with you guys. Let's see. The biggest thing... what was I looking at? Okay, so one thing that stuck out, we previously reported in an earlier survey that of 1,429 respondents, 61% reported using cannabis for managing pain, 58% reported using cannabis for anxiety, and 50% reported using cannabis for depression. Okay, that's huge. That is huge. I mean, the fact that people are admitting that, hey, I'm going to get off of this. More than half of the people were getting admitted to using cannabis for this. Okay, I mean, it's just it's incredible that they're even having this thought like, hey, this isn't working for me anymore. We need to go ahead and start doing some other things. And they're doing construction on the roof here, so that's why. I wanted to do one more point. Let's see. There was one thing. Okay, yes, here we go. All right, so according to the CDC, 259 million prescriptions for pain relievers were written by healthcare providers in 2012. 259 million prescriptions were written. That's crazy. That is insane. Now, obviously, we took just a small portion of those people, especially in Washington State. They may be a little bit more progressive, but at the same time, you have to think if over half of the people are thinking that we are going to get off of our prescription drugs and start using cannabis and medical marijuana, that's a huge step in the right direction. And I think that says it right there, that if you're not getting an appointment for your medical marijuana card, you need to do so. All right, do yourself a favor. Go to greenrelief.com. I've got the link in the description. I want you to set an appointment. If you are taking any prescription drugs, we're going to work in conjunction with your current physician. We will have you meet with one of our doctors. We're going to get a bill of health for you. So we're going to see where you're at right now to see what your current state of health is. We're going to do a couple of small, easy medical tests just to see, maybe your heart rate, your blood pressure, just to get a basic idea of where you're at. And we're going to start filling out some paperwork so we can get the ball rolling on getting your medical marijuana card. All right, then we'll follow up with you. We'll go over everything that we found. We're going to set up a prescription plan for you so you have an idea of what to take. And then that way you'll have your paperwork set up. That follow-up appointment, after that, you'll be able to purchase whatever you need to. And one of the cool things is you don't even need a prescription or a medical marijuana card to start using CBD oil. All right, so we've got our own Green Relief CBD, and this is probably some of the best CBD oil I've ever used. It's 100% pure. It's got a ton of CBD in it. It's not diluted. It's fantastic. And if you're experiencing anything, just like we've talked about, pain, depression, or anxiety, CBD is going to be able to take care of that in the meantime while you get your medical marijuana card. Okay? Now, again, we're going back to this. 259 prescriptions were written for pain relievers. 259 million. 259 million. That's almost, that's like 2/3 of the population of the United States. That's huge. That's a huge amount, okay? Now, what's crazy is, let's see, in 2015, okay, get this. This is scary. In 2015, 2 million Americans aged 12 and older had a substance use disorder that involved prescription painkillers. What is that saying? What is that saying about our society right now? 12-year-olds, if you are going on some kind of prescription pain reliever at the age of 12, what is that doing chemically to your brain? What is that setting you up for? That's going to set up a huge dependence later on in life that you need to physically be on these prescription pills, and it's going to set you up for failure. Okay? Let's see. There was one other point. The CDC also reports overdosing. Yeah, and now it's just going into the CDC also reports that overdoses from prescription opioids are a driving factor in the increase in opiate overdose deaths over the last 15 years. Okay, I'm going to read that again. The CDC also reports that overdoses from prescription opioids are a driving factor, quote unquote, in the increase in opiate overdose deaths in the past 15 years. That's huge. That's huge, right? So you're getting these kids hooked, 12-year-olds who are probably, maybe on anti-anxiety medication or antidepressant, when, maybe they just need to get out and exercise, give them some CBD, they'll be good to go. Honestly, it's crazy. It's crazy. If this study, and I'll post it, I'm going to put it in the comments in just a minute. If it doesn't shock you, then you're either not paying attention or you're not living. You don't have a pulse. Okay? So I want you to go to greenrelief.com, set up an appointment with one of our doctors. We've got 3 locations. We've got one on Curry Ford, we've got one in Kissimmee, and then we've got one in the Mills District on Virginia Avenue. Okay? Do yourself a favor, get yourself a t-shirt, okay? When you become a patient with us, you're going to get a free t-shirt. You want a second one? It's $10 to give to your friend, okay? Get yourself a t-shirt, medical marijuana card, drop your prescription drugs. They are killing you. They are killing the American population, essentially, okay? So let's go ahead, click on the link, get set up, and if you haven't done so, try out our CBD. You'll be able to purchase that relatively soon. I have to talk to Carrie, the owner, and see when the CBD will be available for everybody. It might be really soon, if not already. Okay? So I will see you guys tomorrow, and enjoy the rest of your day.